Did you know the food industry is a trillion-dollar market, but beneath its glossy surface, it hides a multitude of sins? It's a vast, interconnected web that spans the globe, a behemoth that feeds billions daily. Yet its underbelly is far from the shiny supermarket aisles we're accustomed to. Netflix's gripping documentary, Rotten, plunges into this murky world, shedding light on the shocking realities hidden beneath the food industry's polished veneer. It's a journey that takes us from the sprawling farmlands to the bustling city markets, from the high-powered boardrooms to the humble kitchens. The food supply chain is a global entity, a complex network that transcends borders and cultures. It's a chain that's as strong as its weakest link. But what happens when those links are strained, when greed and corruption seep in? Rotten pulls no punches in its exploration of these frailties. In this ruthless world, power dynamics are constantly at play. The big players wield their influence, often at the expense of the small farmers and laborers. They're the unseen, unheard victims of a system that prioritizes profit over people. It's a bitter pill to swallow, but Rotten forces us to confront these hard truths. And then, there are the hidden truths, the secrets that we, as consumers, are often oblivious to. We're detached from the source of our food, unaware of the journey it undertakes before landing on our plates. We're blind to the exploitation, the deceit, the environmental toll. But Rotten tears away this veil of ignorance, exposing us to the grim realities that our food choices can perpetuate. It's a revelation that's as unsettling as it is enlightening. It forces us to question our role in this complex system, to reevaluate our choices, to demand transparency and fairness. It's a wake-up call, a clarion call for change. As we peel back the layers, we'll see the food industry is not as appetizing as it seems. Rotten is a stark reminder of this, a testament to the hidden truths lurking beneath the surface. And as we delve deeper, we realize that the truth indeed can be hard to digest. Honey, the sweet product of hardworking bees, but in the world of honey, things are not as sweet as they seem. Imagine a world where the purity of nature's nectar is compromised, where the simple spoonful of honey you stir into your tea isn't as innocent as it appears. This is the world we're diving into, a world unveiled in Netflix's riveting documentary, Rotten. In the buzzing world of honey production, there exists a dark underbelly of deception and fraud. Practices like honey laundering, where honey is cut with cheaper sweeteners and then passed off as pure, are all too common. This not only cheats consumers out of the genuine product they believe they're purchasing, but also significantly impacts the hardworking beekeepers who strive to maintain the purity and quality of their honey. Imagine a beekeeper working tirelessly, literally braving the stings, to produce a jar of pure, unadulterated honey. Now imagine that jar sitting on a supermarket shelf, right next to a cheaper, adulterated version masquerading as the real deal. The consumer, unaware of the deceit, opts for the cheaper option, leaving the honest beekeeper's product untouched. The economy, too, bears the brunt of these fraudulent practices. The honey market loses its sweetness as the price of pure honey gets undercut by these cheaper, less authentic alternatives. This undercuts the profits of beekeepers and those in the supply chain who play by the rules, leading to financial strain and even bankruptcy. And then there's you, the consumer. You believe you're buying a jar of pure, healthful honey, unaware that what you're actually getting is a cocktail of sweeteners and syrup, devoid of the nutritional benefits of real honey. The label on the jar may say pure, but the contents tell a different story. The honey industry, it turns out, is a sticky business. The veil has been lifted, shedding light on the murky practices that tarnish the golden reputation of honey. But with awareness comes power, the power to demand transparency and authenticity, the power to ensure that the honey you drizzle on your toast is as pure as the hardworking bees intended it to be. Milk, a staple in many households, but behind the scenes, a battle rages in the dairy industry. Picture this, a dairy farm, thousands of acres under the open sky. It's not just a place, it's a way of life where generations of farmers have poured their blood, sweat, and tears into the land. But beneath this idyllic image, there's an undercurrent of struggle that's as much a part of the dairy industry as the milk itself. Let's delve into the heart of the matter. The price wars. Dairy farmers are caught in a relentless battle with large corporations that dictate the price of milk, and it's not a fair fight. These corporations have the power to set prices that are lower than the cost of production, leaving farmers scrambling to make ends meet. What's worse, the farmers have no say in the matter. They're at the mercy of the price setters, their livelihoods hanging in the balance. But it's not just about the money. It's about the cows, the very lifeblood of the dairy industry. Farmers care about their herds. They want them to be healthy, to live good lives. But the pressure to produce more milk, more quickly, often leads to ethical dilemmas. Some farmers resort to using growth hormones and other practices that can harm the cows, a decision that weighs heavily on their conscience. These struggles, these challenges, they're not what you see on the milk carton in your fridge. You see a happy cow in a green field, not the farmer who's fighting to keep his business alive or the cow that's pushed to its limits. The reality of the dairy industry is far more complex, far more fraught with tension than the simple, wholesome image it portrays. So the next time you reach for that carton of milk, remember the story behind it. Remember the dairy farmers who are fighting for their livelihoods, the cows who are more than just milk producers, and the complex, often hidden struggles of the dairy industry. The dairy industry, it seems, is far from the wholesome image it presents. Chocolate, a beloved treat worldwide, but the process from cocoa bean to chocolate bar is anything but sweet. Let's delve into the darker side of this universally adored treat. At the heart of the chocolate we savor lies the cocoa bean. The journey of this tiny seed is a narrative of exploitation and harsh realities, a story that is rarely told, but one that we must confront. West Africa is home to nearly 2/3 of the world's cocoa production. Here, cocoa farming is a lifeline for millions. However, beneath the veneer of this thriving industry lies a grim reality. A significant portion of the cocoa beans are harvested by children, victims of forced labor and trafficking. Many of these children are barely 10 years old, some even younger. They toil under the blazing sun, wielding machetes to cut the cocoa pods. They carry heavy loads that would strain an adult, let alone a child. They are exposed to hazardous conditions, with no access to education, health care, or even the basic joys of childhood. This isn't an isolated issue. It's a systemic problem that pervades the industry. Large multinational corporations, the titans of the chocolate world, have been implicated in these practices. Despite pledges to eradicate child labor from their supply chains, the bitter truth remains that these promises have largely been unfulfilled. The Netflix documentary series Rotten shines a light on this unpalatable reality. It uncovers the layers of exploitation, the lack of transparency, and the urgent need for change. It asks us, the consumers, to question our choices, to consider the human cost embedded in every chocolate bar we consume. But the narrative isn't entirely bleak. There are glimmers of hope, initiatives aimed at creating a fairer, more sustainable cocoa industry. Fair trade and ethically sourced chocolate are gaining ground, offering a beacon of light in an otherwise dark landscape. Yet, the road to change is long, and the journey is far from over. The onus is on us, the consumers, to demand transparency, to choose ethically, and to hold corporations accountable. As it stands, the chocolate industry leaves a bitter taste in our mouths. As we've seen, the food industry holds secrets that are hard to swallow. The truth is, our dinner plates are brimming with tales of exploitation, corruption, and environmental damage. Rotten, Netflix's eye-opening documentary series, has peeled back the layers of deception to expose the unpalatable truths lurking beneath our food system. Let's reflect on what we've uncovered. In the world of honey, a sweet veneer conceals a bitter reality. Fraudulent labeling, adulteration with cheap sweeteners, and the decimation of bee populations are just a few of the issues plaguing this industry. Our craving for this natural sweetener has spawned a worldwide crisis, threatening not just our taste buds, but our ecosystems. Then we delved into the dairy sector, a realm where wholesome images of cows grazing in verdant pastures are far from the truth. In reality, it's an industry marred by unsustainable practices, animal cruelty, and the exploitation of small-scale farmers. The milk in your coffee and the cheese on your pizza carry a heavy burden that's often ignored. We also journeyed through the tantalizing world of chocolate, only to find a bitter truth. The guilt-free pleasure we derive from this sweet treat is tainted by child labor, deforestation, and poverty. The road from cocoa bean to chocolate bar is paved with injustices that we, as consumers, are unknowingly complicit in. Rotten has served us a platter of unsettling revelations, forcing us to confront the dark side of our food. It's a stark reminder that our choices at the supermarket and the dinner table have far-reaching consequences. Every product has a backstory, every ingredient a history, and frequently, they're not as appetizing as we'd like to believe. The next time you sit down to eat, remember every bite holds a story, and not all of them are palatable.